You're doing everything right. Cutting expenses. Saving more. Watching your balance grow. And yet, something feels off. Not dramatic. Not obvious. Just a quiet, persistent sense that the numbers are going up, but your life isn't. Like you're running on a treadmill that's slowly speeding up. And no one told you. Because here's the uncomfortable truth. Money can lose value, even while you're holding on to it. Not because you're careless. But because the system is moving faster than your savings. A few decades ago, saving money actually worked the way people still think it does. You earned. You saved. You waited. And over time, that money held its power. Sometimes it even grew, just sitting in a bank. But something changed. Not overnight. Not loudly. Quietly. Gradually. The rules shifted. Today, you can save more money than ever before. And still fall behind. That's not a feeling. It's math. Let's walk through what's actually happening. Imagine you earn $50,000 a month. You manage to save $10,000. That feels responsible. Disciplined. Now zoom out. At the same time, the cost of living, rent, food, fuel, is rising. Maybe 5% a year. Sometimes more. Your savings account. Maybe growing at 2 to 3%. That gap, just a few percentage points. That's where value disappears. Slowly. Silently. You don't notice it day to day. But over time, it compounds, in reverse. This is inflation. But not the simple version you hear about. Not just, prices going up. It's more subtle than that. Inflation is what happens when the supply of money increases faster than the supply of real things. More money, chasing the same goods. So each unit of money, buys less. Now here's where it gets interesting. Because money doesn't enter the system evenly. It doesn't just appear in your bank account. It enters through very specific channels first. Banks. Governments. Financial institutions. By the time it reaches you, prices have already adjusted. So you're always reacting. Not leading. Think about it like this. New money enters the system. It flows into assets first, stocks, real estate, businesses. Their prices rise. People who own those assets get richer. Not because they worked harder that day. But because the system moved in their favor. Meanwhile, wages? They adjust slower. Sometimes much slower. So if you rely only on income, you're always slightly behind the curve. Saving money in that environment is like trying to store water in a bucket with a tiny leak. It looks full. But it's never quite keeping up. And here's the irony. The more disciplined you are, the more exposed you might be. Because you're holding more of the very thing that's losing value. Cash feels safe. Stable. Predictable. But stability in a system that's constantly expanding can quietly turn into loss. Not visible loss. But purchasing power loss. The kind you only notice years later. When things that used to feel affordable, don't anymore. Now let's add another layer. Interest rates. You'd expect that if inflation is high, savings accounts would compensate. But they rarely do, at least not fully. Why? Because the system isn't designed to reward holding money. It's designed to encourage movement. Spending. Investing. Borrowing. In fact, during economic slowdowns, governments often want people to spend more, not save more. They lower interest rates. Make borrowing cheaper. Inject more money into the system. From a macro perspective, it makes sense. Spending drives growth. But from your perspective, it creates a strange contradiction. You're told to save. But the system quietly rewards those who don't just save, but deploy. This is why you'll hear something that sounds almost backwards. Debt can benefit from inflation. Because if you borrow money today, and repay it later with money that's worth less, you win. At least in real terms. Meanwhile, savers are doing the opposite. Holding on to money that's slowly losing strength. Same system. Two completely different outcomes. Now contrast the story we're told with the reality we live. The story says, work hard. Save consistently. Be patient. And you'll get ahead. The reality? Working hard still matters. Saving still matters. But on their own, they're no longer enough. Because the system has layers. And most people are only playing on one of them. Zoom out even further. This isn't just about personal finance. It's about how wealth is distributed over time. When money flows into assets first. And assets grow faster than wages. Wealth concentrates. Not suddenly. Gradually. Quietly. Those who own, gain. Those who earn, try to catch up. And those who only save,